on the rise, rents, and unfortunately, incomes aren't keeping up, according to the National Association of Realtors.
When I was growing up, there was lots of apartments. Now there's a lot more condominiums.
A lot of neighborhoods in DC have changed over the past 10 years. You know, the city is whiter, the city is higher income than it used to be. And we've seen, Manhattan, right, is like the example. In the 90s, there were people of all incomes, all backgrounds, a lot of immigrants, all, living together. And there were some other problems, right? Like there was a lot of crime, there was a lot of poverty, or a bunch of different people living together. It was a heterogeneous city. And it's not anymore. It's very unaffordable. We shouldn't live in a city where people get left behind and get left out of their neighborhoods and the places where they grew up and where they've lived their whole lives.
Gentrification is this process of socioeconomic and cultural change that happens in neighborhoods. So when a neighborhood changes, it's redeveloped, when low-income people are pushed out, usually low-income people of color, and then whiter, wealthier residents move in. A lot of times you'll see good things happen, right? So you'll see new grocery stores. Grocery stores are usually used as an anchor for development. Once developers see a new grocery store coming in, they're more likely to develop other projects. Sometimes you'll see new businesses open up, new restaurants and new retail outlets.
It's hard because when a neighborhood changes, it might seem like, it's getting nicer, changing for the better, but the issue is, who is benefiting from the change in the neighborhood and who gets to enjoy, the new parks, the new businesses, or can they afford to shop at the new businesses?
Anytime you have something moving in, you usually have something moving out.
When I was younger, I remember my parents used to pay rent like $500. Today, that same rent is triple or quadrupled. For a one-bedroom apartment or studio is $1,000. It's amazing.
From 2002 until last year, we did a study recently that found that affordable apartments, that we lost half of those over the past 10 years. So the number of affordable apartments, by that definition, we've lost half of them over the past 10 years, which is a huge issue. And really the only growth that we've seen has been in more luxury apartments that only a really small segment of the population can afford.
The issue of displacement and affordable housing is a huge, much talked about issue in DC. So our council people talk about it, our mayor talk about it.
Because sometimes when we talk about housing, we talk about new units. And we forget about all the good affordable housing units that we have right now. So our strategy has to be about how we create more units, but also how we preserve the units that we have.
More of the Caucasians have actually moved in. There used to be Caucasians here in the district, but not as many. That's why the district is called Chocolate City. It was more minority-based, especially in Mount Pleasant area. When I was growing up, I would actually encounter more Hispanics and more African Americans, more minorities in general. Now, everywhere you look, there's a lot less of them. Why? Because of the influx of the high amounts of rent and the fact that apartments are now being turned into condos.
The city government needs to be aggressive in stepping in, and when we see situations like Museum Square, where an island of affordable housing is about to be lost in an expensive neighborhood, to come in and buy the building, maybe help the tenants buy the building, and be prepared to commit the funds, to commit the money, right, in the city budget towards those kinds of